In this problem, we've got kind of a complicated sum here, and the instructions are to simplify it completely. It's going to turn out to be a factoring problem coming right up. So I want to factor this, and I'm going to have to find the common factors from each expression. So I'm going to write an equal sign to indicate I've got an equality here. And I notice that both terms have x squared plus 9 in them. And what I've got to do for the exponent is to get the smallest exponent. So in that case, it's 3. I also notice that both terms have x plus 6 to some negative power in it. I've got to get the smallest negative power. So that's minus 4/3. Now, I've got to deal with this fraction. So I can either deal with it by factoring it out, or it'll end up later on. So I'm just going to say 1/3. This is a choice that I'm making. You do not have to make the same choice. Okay, now inside my square brackets, what do I multiply this by in order to get my first term back? And that's going to be, well, I have to have x squared plus 9 to the power 4. I've got to have a negative, so that's got to be -1, and then I have x squared plus 9. If I multiply all of this by this, I'll get my first term back. And then, since I've got the smallest power here, I've got x squared plus 9, so that's already there. I'm going to have x plus 6 just to the power 1 times 30x. I've got to take into consideration this 1/3, so it's 30x, and I better multiply it by 3 because that takes into consideration the 1/3 here. And this is going to work out to be the simplest way to do this. In this next step, I want to show you why this works. So you wouldn't normally do what I'm about to do if you're working this problem. So I have a factor of x squared plus 9 cubed times x plus 6 to the power minus 4/3 times 1/3, and I'm going to multiply that now by this first expression inside the square bracket, so I have minus x squared plus 9. When I multiply all of that out, I'm going to get x squared plus 9. This of course has an exponent of 1, so that's going to be to the power 4. And I'm going to still keep the x plus 6 to the power minus 4/3. And this is going to become minus 1/3. And that is my original first term, you'll notice right here. And if I do that again, so if I take the factor, which is the x squared plus 9 cubed times x plus 6 to the minus 4/3 times 1/3, and now I'm going to multiply it by the second part. So I have x plus 6, that's to the power positive 1, isn't it? And 90x, and if I multiply all this out, I need to get the second term back. So I'm going to get x squared plus 9 all cubed, so that's fine. And then I'm going to get x plus 6 minus 4/3 plus 1 is going to give me minus 1/3, and 1/3 multiplied by 90x is going to give me 30x. So is that the second term back? Yes, it is. So you see what I'm doing is I'm factoring out a factor, and inside the square brackets I've got to have expressions that give me the first two terms back. So I have my factors. There's 3 different factors here. And there's really one task left. I'll just write my original factors that I pulled out. So x squared plus 9 cubed, x plus 6 to the minus 4/3 times 1/3. And my next task then is going to be to simplify inside the square parentheses, square brackets. So I have minus x squared minus 9 plus 90x squared plus 6 times 90 is 540x. And I have one last step. I never want to write an exponent that's negative. So I'm going to have x squared plus 9 cubed. And in the denominator, I'll have 3x plus 6 all to the power 4/3. And then inside my square brackets here, I'm going to have 89 x squared, because I've got a minus x squared and a plus 90x squared, plus 540x minus 9. And that's as simple as I can get it. So notice what we did. We went from a rather complicated two expression kind of sum, and we factored that sum. I would like to invite you to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Thanks very much for listening.